and Zoe overthink. Ask you questions, leave you on the brink. What's the point of existence? Welcome back to Brains Unpicked.
Hello and welcome back to Brains Unpicked. I am Rose.
I'm Zoe.
And we, as per usual, are still two 20-something-year-olds who chronically overthink, obsess over random things, and take you on that ride with us. So buckle in. It's gonna be a good one, I think. And yeah, welcome to episode 17.
Woo! Oh my goodness.
Wow, wee
How's
woo.
life, Rose?
Life's been life.
It's
Been
running.
lifing.
It's been busy.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've been busy.
I feel like I've not stopped.
I think that we should just crack on because we have a united inconvenience.
Yeah.
Which has never happened.
Do we have a story for
Right.
you?
So this week, things might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just in terms of structure and all that. We're going rogue. We're going off piece.
Yeah.
Because we need to tell you about, and if you haven't seen some of it on our socials
Yeah.
already, oh my goodness, get over to TikTok,
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
We don't put YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Get your bum over there because.
To somewhere because you're missing out.
Do you want to? You start the story,
So
Rose.
prepare to be regaled, okay?
What does regaled mean?
So just like taking it like I'm regaling the story. It's like you're
Okay.
telling the story, but it's like a proper
Right.
so
Sit down, cross your legs. ears
how'd your
open.
waist? Yeah. So I don't know if we've mentioned, I think we've mentioned a couple of times that we're training to do the kilt walk just now.
Yeah. Loose on the training.
Yeah. We've done it.
We're walking.
Yeah, we're walking. I think we're doing well though. So we're doing it as part of like our staff team. There's a few other people from our work doing it. And on Saturday, myself and Zoe and Sarah, one of our colleagues, decided to go and do a training walk.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of our other colleagues had advised us on different walks that we could do, and they said go to Lochley. It's a really nice walk. It's an 8-mile round walk round Lochley. So we thought that sounds quite nice.
I'll be honest, I don't know if you said to me in person about it or if I just saw it in the chat, but I was just like, yeah, as long as it's after 10, I'll come. Because I'm driving about the whole day before, so I'm not interested in getting up early.
Yeah.
I was like, as long as it's a flat walk, I'm game. And I was assured that it was a flat walk and we wouldn't be there all day.
I'd just like to say,
Not by Rose.
not by me, because I knew very little of this walk.
We all, what came to be is that we all knew very little about this walk.
Yeah.
It's called foreshadowing.
So, Sarah comes to pick me up, and then we come and pick Zoe up, and we know we've got an hour and a half drive.
Before we even start that, my rolls were mouldy, so I didn't have lunch. So I went to make myself lunch. Rolls were mouldy, and I was like, I have nothing else that I can make for lunch. I don't have lunch for this walk, so we're going to have to stop somewhere to get lunch.
Stopped in Tesco, got ourselves some juice and like you got lunch, some ice poles and stuff. Set off on our merry way again. Then coming up so we had to go to the Invermark car park. If anyone's been there
before the Invermark car park.
So yeah, there's not a toilet at Invermark car park.
No, there's not.
So I have been to the Invermark car park before because I did a Monroe, which was in the same sort of place but a different route to what we went. And I knew there was a toilet just like in the town just before it, but it didn't seem to be, it wasn't coming, and at this point I drank a whole bottle of Lucozade before I'd even set off on this walk, and I needed the toilet. So there's like a I can't remember that it was like
it was a museum.
It was a museum.
Cafe.
Yeah.
Everything you want it to be.
So we went there, a visitor centre. We went there, and when we were pulling in, you could see part of like, there was like this big like shed / house thing. And I thought it was a man stood at the window.
Right, so I didn't really know what was going on at this point because I felt ill.
Yeah.
So I'd felt really unwell. So I was just in the back of the car, like, don't throw up.
Yeah.
Do not. Sorry if anyone has got emetophobia, but I was not in a good way. So I was just sat there like, keep it together, Zoe, keep it together, Zoe. So when you were talking about this man, I genuinely didn't see this man.
So later on I realised it was just like either a cardboard cutout of a man, or like as part of the museum they have a figure of a man that's like in a window looking out. But I just thought like we'd driven up to like this little place in the middle of nowhere and there was just a man staring at us from the window, and I was like, we got out of the car and we were like, don't know if I want to go in there. I was like, I need the toilet, I need to go. So we went in and there was two guys in there and obviously working.
They were super eager to see
They were very, like, obviously not a soul had crossed their paths other than each other.
Yeah.
The entirety of the morning. So we were like, oh, just wondering if we could go to the toilet. We go to the toilet. I managed to pee despite Zoe being in the room. Zoe manages to throw up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Assured us that she was okay, and then we went back out, and then I think
before that the men were trying to convince us to book a reservation to the cafe, and I was like, we're going on a walk.
Yeah.
Could you be nuts?
What I think happened there was I was prepared to make a beeline for the door. Zoe lingered a bit too long, and it gave room for conversation.
I just felt rude.
I know.
So
like
rude.
normally I would have been the exact same, but it was just the fact that they were so eager when we went in. I was like, oh, I know we're going to be hassled here.
And also, I felt like I was in a bit of a I don't know what's going on here. I don't think that I was quite on the same planet as everyone else.
But yeah, they were like, do you want to book a table for dinner? Are you coming back? Is that woman out there with the dog with you? And we're like, so many questions.
And I was like, we will just go and confirm with her.
Yeah.
She then went, I'm going to the toilet now, and I went, good luck. Good luck. You're going to get roped into a reservation.
Yeah. But they left her alone, so maybe we look more vulnerable and easily persuaded. Anyway, back in the car, we drove past, luckily, where the toilet was the last time, so we knew that we could go back there on the way back. Parked at the car park, got out of the car, went up to a board that you would think would have maps of the trails, like saying where you are.
Yeah, there was nothing.
No, nothing. And we were like, it was at this point we realised that no one knew where we were meant to be going.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh.
Well, I wasn't sure what was happening. Again, I just tagged along. I feel like I just tagged along for the rides of this. I didn't really know what was happening whatsoever.
Yeah.
All week people had been asking me where you go, and I went lock something. So when you guys were doing that, I'd already put my Strava on, so I was just walking round in circles. Like, I was just walking the car park, waiting for them to tell me where to go.
Yeah. Well, I realised that from having been there before, I had an app that gives you trails. So I was like, I'll put that on. Looked up Loch-Lee, and there was a Loch-Lee and Glen Esk or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if this is, because I know there's Munros, like I don't know if there's a Munro, but it said it was a circular walk. We'd been told 8-mile circular walk. So I'm imagining, well, this must be it.
Yeah.
So we put it on, starts walking the trail. It's fairly flat.
The walk was lovely. Like, it was just a nice walk. There was like, I felt like I was maybe a little bit not entertained by the flat walk.
Yeah.
And just kept so we also had a dog with us who kept disappearing. Rose lost his ball in the first 5 minutes of the journey.
I booted it for him, like we were all kicking the ball. I kicked it for him and it doofed off his nose and directly into the water. And he tried to catch it and it just boofed right into the water and he ran after it and I was like, I've seen this tale before, like I know what happens here.
No, so he couldn't find it.
Yeah.
That ruined the majority of his walk. I then was trying to like pick up like some sort. None of us were talking to each other really because we were like, oh, we've just been in the car for an hour and a half, and Zoe's just been sick. So I was trying to pick up the vibe. So I was like, Rose, do you think you could climb that rock? How quickly do you think you could run to this? Rose, do you think you could do this? Rose is probably thinking, Zoe, shut up. And and refused to do anything that I offered, so I just started doing
offered. Them. It wasn't offers. It was more. Hang on, it wasn't offers. I'm going to offer you the opportunity to run up here.
I was introducing games, and you wouldn't play them.
Yeah, because she went. At one point, she went, "How long do you think it would take you to run up there?" And she pointed up like halfway up the mountain, and I'm like, well, probably like a week. And then she went, I could run to there in like 5 minutes, and then proceeded to walk up. I'm like, sorry, no, there was running involved in the challenge you set. Yeah, and it wasn't to that rock. No, it was up there.
That was the rock I pointed at the whole time.
Sure.
I then started climbing rocks. How did I know that was practice for later on?
So yeah, we walked for 4 miles, right? And then it was all fairly flat, following the map, no bother. Stopped at this massive rock for lunch, and we had our lunch. Also, bearing in mind, right?
I didn't have my lunch.
No. So Sarah it'd been raining in Aberdeen that morning, and Sarah was like, "It's supposed to be lovely in Brechin." It pissed with rain on and off the entire time we were there.
Yep.
And Zoe was wearing a hoodie and no jacket.
Not even a thick hoodie.
No.
It was like a thin.
Yeah. So it pissed with rain on and off. We were sat, ate our lunch, kind of in the rain. And then we were like, there was people in front of us up to this point. And then all of a sudden, they were gone. Like, nowhere to be found where they had, like, what way they had gone.
Yeah.
We were right near a waterfall, so we were like, let's go and look at the waterfall. And then at this point, we were like, we've walked 8 miles. I don't know where 4 miles. I don't know where the rest of this trail goes. I can't see, there's not a clear route, and it looks like a big, massive bend. Like, it goes round in a circle, but like, we've not even started the circle yet, really.
Yeah.
So do we go back now, or do we just keep going? And no one really gave an answer.
This was the point when I stopped listening, and I thought, I'm going to climb this waterfall.
Yeah.
And I'm going to climb this waterfall and see where we're going. I hear the word adventure.
Yeah. No one answered. I thought, well, I'm happy to keep going, so we just kept going. So we started climbing up. There was a bit of a path. And then, so me and Zoe saw a content opportunity.
Yeah, we did.
And we were like, we're going to make the most of this adventure. Let's make loads of like funny videos. Yeah. So at one point I had Zoe filming me in front of the waterfall as if I was some sort of TV historian like type person. And it was at this point that we just went totally rogue.
Didn't know where the path went, and
we walked past the path. In hindsight, this is what happened. We walked past the path to film at the waterfall.
Yeah. And I just took it upon myself to start climbing the side of the waterfall. I just went, clearly you've got to go this way and climb. Now, I'm not a hill walker. I've never walked hills. I've only walked flat paths. And despite all of like not liking like walking up hills, I do like climbing on things. So I was like, I could just climb all over this. This is great. I don't know at what point it kicked in that we probably shouldn't be doing it. It might have been the fact that the dog was like, I was like, this doesn't feel safe for a dog.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. And it got to the point, because I think the part where we started climbing, like scaling the side of the waterfall, there was quite a big gap between us and the water.
Yeah.
But then the gap kept getting small, and there was eventually like, we're on the waterfall now, and then we had to climb through bushes to get back onto what was the original path.
Yeah. And then we walked for another so we got there like 12. Then we walked for like another 2-ish hours.
Yeah.
And
all uphill.
All up. And
in a rocky steep.
Me and Sarah were struggling. Like Rose, I give her dues, was cracking at this, was just storming on, having the time of her life. I could see her filming and talking to the camera. I was gripping my chest thinking I'm going to die, and then I would turn around and look at Sarah and be like, are you okay? And she'd be like, yeah. And then we were like helping each other along, and Ralph was like jumping in between us all, right? And I turned around to Sarah at one point and went, it's me and you, baby, those two are off. And Rose just kept going,
I
right?
didn't think I was that far in front. Like, there's a video where I look really far in front, but I didn't think I was that far the whole time.
You were so far ahead the whole time.
Because I kept waiting for you guys, and then you would catch up, and then...
Yeah, but there was also a lack of conversation on Rosie's side. Rose was on a mission. There was no, like, how he's getting on. It was every now and then of, you guys are doing great. Like, we're doing great, guys. We're doing great. Like, it was not that. But there was no, like, you were not part of the unit at this point.
Well, maybe the conversation was one-sided because I feel like I kept turning around and being like...
You
communicating
were positive. We couldn't hear you because you were so far away. But anyway, it gets to a point where sun comes out, we reach a bridge. Mm-hmm. That was quite cool. I had a meltdown, screaming that it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and that I was on my period, and I can't believe they all dragged me up a hill on my period, despite the fact that you were also on yours. But I was like, this is about me.
What an unfortunate time to be on your period, though. It wasn't fun.
No. But it
was fun.
That's where the fun ended. I think that at that point it was great, and we were like, haha, this is so silly. Yeah. This is silly. Of course, we've accidentally ended up on a hill.
This is hilarious. This is how our lives go.
And then we crossed that bridge, and it all changed.
Yeah. So we crossed the bridge, got up a little bit, and the map that had been on this app on
because what we'd been following before was a rocky path.
Yeah,
like we were following a path, but as soon as we got to that hill, there was no path.
The bridge, after the bridge, there was no path. It was like wide open
hill, and we saw people, so we were trying to find where they were and where they went.
Yeah, we were like on this side, we could see them like tiny little specks climbing up the hill, and at this point I was like, I think we might be bagging a Monroe. I think we might have accidentally been bagging a Monroe. We weren't. But
I just don't know what the height of a Monroe is.
I reckon they were.
Right.
I reckon they were going to keep going and then camp for the night, and then we're probably climbing
who knows
something else. But anyway, we saw these like little specks of dust people in the distance, and I could still see the map at this point. I was looking at it and I was like, that's where we've got to go.
Yeah.
Then walked a bit further, the map disappears.
Yeah, it got to the point where I think when we got onto that hill and there wasn't really a path, we all started to just disperse slightly as well and go our own ways to reach wherever because again Rose was miles ahead of us, so we were just trying to get to wherever Rose was, but we were all going different ways because there wasn't a path and we didn't know. Rose was so far ahead that we didn't know what path she'd use.
So this is what was happening. I was trying to figure out, because from looking at the map when I still had it, it looked like it took like a sharp turn, and before it curved back round, like we were going to join the circle. So I was trying to figure out how that was going to go.
Rose was not telling us this though.
But I was. So
you just kept saying, wait there. I wasn't going to stop because I wanted to die. So I was like, just keep going, keep going.
Don't blame me for you not following instructions.
But there was no explanation to the instruction. It's just stop. No,
but
I'm defiant. I'm a defiant human being.
Everyone also kept asking me, how's it looking from there? As if I was supposed to be scouting for where we were going, which is what I was trying to do. So my understanding was they were waiting for me to find out what was...
I was like, I will keep walking and Rose will figure it out by the time I get there. Because it was taking me and Sarah so much longer than you to get anywhere.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Yep. By that point,
I fully understand. I shouldn't have been going as far ahead but like I was trying to figure it.
Honestly, see when I think about it back, it was ridiculous. No,
you were actually turning around. I could speak to you.
No, I think that you were way further ahead than what you remember being.
I remember at the very end, like of the incline, I was.
Yeah. We did at one point lose Rose over the hill, and I started to freak out because I was like, where's she on? Like, I don't know where I am, and she has the map, and I knew I had no signal this whole time, so I was like freaking out, and I just kept screaming Rose at the top of my voice. I was like, Rose!
So I had I thought I had communicated just to wait there until I could get up to this bit to see. I kept thinking, if I can get up to that bit, I might be able to see where we're going, and then I will come back and say. So I got to that bit. Meanwhile, okay. Meanwhile, this was going on. I didn't know that was going on, but I got to that bit that I thought was going to be the very top, and I got there, and it revealed a massive new bit of mountain that
it was a hill.
It's a mountain.
It's a hill.
No, Benahi's a hill. It was a mountain.
I don't know. I think it was a hill. I think it was just a big hill.
Did you not look? It kept going for...
I don't know. At that point, I was telling myself to count to 10 and breathe.
Right.
So
I got to this bit. Bearing in mind, this up until this point, we'd all been laughing like, this is haha funny. What's happening to us? It got to this bit. It was after, like, it was the back of 4. It was starting to get freezing.
Yeah.
It revealed this massive bit that would have taken us another probably hour, if not more.
So we all sat down. I went, I need to sit and I need to think. But I sat because I was like, I need to calm myself down.
You were still away at this point. Unbeknownst to me, having a meltdown, and all of a sudden, like, I think reality just sunk in, like that, like hit me like a ton of bricks, where I went, I don't think this is silly funny anymore. And the pressure,
this is irresponsible
all
now.
of a sudden, like, this isn't silly funny anymore. And all of a sudden it became very like, but they've all been following me, and I've been the one that's like,
little does Rose know the whole time we've been slagging her off back to back.
Like, despite the fact this wasn't I didn't choose to go on this one. It wasn't like none of us made the collective decision.
I don't know who appointed you king of the idiots, but it was a bad idea.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But yeah, it was all of a sudden, like, it was just like, this actually isn't funny anymore. And I just had visions of us like having to be airlifted off the side of the mountain. I was stood there just going, I can't be on the news. I can't be, like, this can't happen. I did not know that
that's what was going through your head. So I wasn't at that stage. I don't think I ever hit that stage. I never at one point thought we are not getting down. I just needed to recollect my thoughts, because I was like, I don't know where the end is, and I can't. And Rose is so far ahead, and I think that I was getting frustrated at the fact that I was like, how is she just charging on? How is she just so good at this? I think I was jealous. If anything, I was so jealous that you were just charging ahead, and I was like, I literally can't breathe right now. How is she way up there and just fine and just pissing off? And then I sat down and I was sitting. And I was like, right, let me see your phone. And then you were like, it's frozen, it's gone.
Yeah,
like,
it was genuinely fucked. Like, I was touching the screen and nothing was happening.
Then I ended up I was like, right, give me a minute. And then you sat and spoke to Sarah about it, I think, at that point. Because I just sat on my own in front of you. It's almost like I just like gathered myself together. And I heard you behind me going, no, I think I'm panicking now. And then I went, right, okay, I've got a plan. It was almost like...
It was immediate.
Yeah. I was like, right, okay, so what's happening is we're going to walk up further, and we're going to hope we get signal. And the second we get signal, we were like, we'll follow Strava and we'll try and recreate the loop via looking at Strava. So I was like, we'll do that, and until we get signal, and the second someone gets signal, we'll reevaluate. And then at that point, it was like, we walked for maybe 5 minutes, and then you got signal.
Yeah.
It was like, it was really weird.
It was,
because it was just a random pocket of signal.
Yeah, because it came up like mobile data something, and then all of a sudden my about 70 notifications come through, and I'm like trying to get rid of all the notifications just so that I get the map before it goes.
And you were then thinking out, like, I can't be the person till he does back.
Yeah, because I was just like, I'm not the, like, up until this point it was fine.
Listen, S1 and 2 orienteering kicked in at this point, and what happened during orienteering was I'd figure out the map, and then I'd make the people fitter than me run.
Right.
So I'd be like, oh, you just need to go to there and there, and they would run, and I'd walk behind them and catch up.
I don't think I ever did orienteering.
So this took me back to, like, you've been running ahead, and I've just been catching up, and I have now caught up, and I know what's happening.
It just felt like, you know, when does this ever happen with Google Maps? You're like, it doesn't tell you from where you are, and you're trying to turn it round so that you can see what arrow what direction the arrow is pointing in, but I couldn't get it to go near like where we were supposed to go. So at this point I was like, someone needs to do something because it's not working.
And then I took the phone and I was like, I will lead us back down. either to the path or back to where we were.
Yeah.
And
she did
took the phone. Now,
so well.
If you remember, I said earlier, I wasn't really on my phone because I struggle with coordination and walking whilst on my phone. And that became evident when I was knee deep in a bog.
So I was walking behind Zoe, right? And it happened so fast, but also I swear to God I saw it happen in slow motion. like genuinely to like there.
It was my full knee was in the bog. One knee in the bog, one knee not in the bog.
Yeah. And there was about 2-3 seconds of pure silence where we were like, oh, how's she gonna take this? Because for me, that would have sent me over.
Yeah.
And especially the way I was feeling at this point, that would have sent me over the edge. I probably would have cried. I would have had a meltdown.
Yep.
But Zoe started laughing. And we're like, oh, she's taking this surprisingly well.
I was like, Emma, I'm stuck. I can't move because if I move, I'm going further down. So I'm stuck in this bog. Yeah.
So she was holding out my phone and she was going like, take it. So I took it and I was trying to put it in my pocket so that I could then grab both of her arms and haul her out. Unbeknownst to me, she was trying to tell me to take a video of her in the bog.
Film it.
But I was not, in my mind, I was like, I can just imagine her up her neck with just her arms.
Still being like, film it.
Slowly sinking
So
down.
we don't have any bog content, unfortunately. But I did get out of the bog pretty quickly and it was fine. And then from there, apart from falling a couple of times, back down, we got back to the bridge.
Yeah.
And
also, may I just say, I don't know if it was maybe she thought there was going to be too many cooks in the kitchen, but Sarah just left me to Holly out of the bog. There was no assistance from her.
Sarah was probably contemplating our life because, at least for us, we were like, this is normal. This is
exactly how our lives go.
We did get stranded in a train station in the snow for 6 hours. Like, this is on brand for us as people. Yeah. So I think that Sarah was maybe just like trying to keep it together, which I respect her for because she really did.
She really did. Like, genuinely.
Because I did not keep it together. I did not.
She probably thought she had to be the only one that was going to remain sane.
And Ralph, this whole time, the dog was just kept running. My God. He did not slow down. No. He just kept running the whole time. Yeah. So we got back to the bridge and we made the decision that actually it probably isn't a good idea to try and do the path. We should just go back the way we came, which was then climbing down all of the rocks that we had just climbed up.
Yeah.
Which again, at one point, oh my God. So when we were in the bog, the way that we got out the bog twisted my knee a little bit. Not like a proper twist of the knee, but I have a dodgy knee anyway. So I was like, that's hurt my knee. And I already had a sore ankle before we had started coming because there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with boring. Anyway, so at that point, my knee and my ankle were hurting. So every time I put impact on it, I was a bit like wobbly on my feet. Nothing major. Like I just took some painkillers and I was fine. And actually, it's been fine since. I was a bit worried about it at one point, but it's been fine. So I was really unsteady trying to get back. And I just kind of trailed behind because I was trying to like think about my steps and stuff. And at one point I nearly fell off the edge. Yeah. So they just heard a scream. Like, I don't know if you really remember that.
No. So the pair of you were both kind of really stressing me out at this point because I was just so worried. So I didn't want to say this at the time, but I have a cousin that broke her ankle. She tripped and fell coming down Benahee when I was a kid, and she still like is on crutches. This was like over 15 years ago.
That's
like
crazy.
I can't put any weight on her foot, like can't do anything. And I was there when that happened. So the whole time I was like, they're really like I didn't want to like put the fear in use, but at the same time I was like, please stop falling over.
We did get lost in the hills, and I'm not sure, all of it was a bit of an inconvenience, to be honest. Like the whole experience of, I thought, and if you go and watch our little vlog that will be on TikTok, I think it's up on Saturday, so if you're listening to this on the Thursday when it comes out, if you go onto TikTok, and I don't know, I've not posted anything on Instagram, but if you go on TikTok, it'll be up on Saturday, I think, and it's the vlog of the experience. And I think that shows the kind of emotion through it a lot more than maybe what we're explaining as in hindsight. Yeah, mental. But then I went home and I was sick again.
Yeah, you did tell me that. Actually, like by the time I got home, I had a message from Zoe being like, I've been sick.
So guys, because of our sheer rambling, we're going to speed things up quite quickly. My brain's unpicked is, and we're just going to take my brain's unpicked is, why am I so obsessed with slime videos?
Slime.
I cannot. There's this girl, Lydia Roberts, right? I think her name's Lydia Roberts. I can't skip any of her videos, and it's literally just a girl sat in her bedroom making slime videos, and I'm obsessed. I will never skip a slime video. And I don't know why. I don't care. It makes me want to go to Hobbycraft and buy activator. Like I went into Hobbycraft the other day and went, go and buy activator, and then I stopped myself. I went, right, come on now. I still want to go. Like, I'm obsessed with these videos, and I can't, like, I know it's bedtime when I've watched a few slime videos, and then I'm like, right, okay, bed. I am 26 years old. Why can I not stop watching them?
Do you know, I don't know. Do you know what I enjoy the actual slime videos, but see, when you see people making the slime, why do they always do it so close to the edge of their counter or their table? Because you see it all like moving towards, and I'm like, it stresses me out
why
more.
Do I know that people put hand lotion and glycerin and the activator is like a certain type of borax, and people make their own, and the difference between a cloud slime and a water
Oh, I didn't.
I don't have children. Yeah. I don't have children. I know what a cloud slime is. I know what a butter slime is.
Oh wait, there's different types of slime.
There's different types of slime.
This is news. I've seen slime, but I've seen plenty of slime videos. I didn't realise there was so
it's
many.
A genuine issue that I can't stop watching them.
Right.
Why? Why are they? Why?
Right.
Why?
This is interesting.
Why?
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that you know to go to bed when you've watched a couple of them. I know when to go to bed is when I get like, you're at a medieval market. Choose what you're going to pick from the toadstool.
Mine used to be a guy dancing in the rain, and he was like, and I'll do it anyway. I'll do it sad. I'll do it mad. I'll do it anyway. And I'd be like, thank you. And then I'd go to bed. And he'd be my bed indicator. Why do we have these?
Mine used to be, there was like, and I see him every now and again, it was like a really suave Korean guy that would do line dancing, but it was like, he was line dancing in amongst like crowds of other Korean people, except the focus was always on him. And there was always one woman in the comments that was obsessed with him. So, but now it's always like you're at a medieval market, or choose your fairy tale castle or something.
Right, okay. We have very different bedtime tales.
I don't get that much slime. I do get slime, but not that much.
I'm obsessed.
I used to get, you know what I love? Paint mixing videos.
Fair. I've also been getting a lot of vacuum seal videos at the moment, where they like put things into the vacuum container and they just like vacuum it to see what happens.
I get a lot of,
but like
the
Hydropress, hydraulic press,
or the red hot copper ball.
Yeah, big fan of that.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that? I'm obsessed.
I don't know. It's something. It's just like, it's genuine brain rot. Like, I'll just sit and be like,
so I was trying to show one of my friends a clip from a podcast on TikTok, but it was one of those split videos where something was happening on the other side of it, and he went, "Why am I watching two videos right now?" He went, "What? Why are you? What is this?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Well, why are they doing that?"
Yeah.
Whilst they're talking about, and I went, "Oh, we're on different areas of the internet."
Yeah.
I was like, "We are having."
Wait, they don't see that? I always get loads of ones.
I don't think they use TikTok.
Ah, fair enough. I always get ones that's like, someone like, it's like, am I the asshole, or like they're telling
and they're playing Minecraft. Yeah. Oh my god, I love it. I'm like, yes, you are the arsehole.
Yeah,
you're the asshole. Yeah. So strange, love it, obsessed.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yep. Any other comments?
No.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Right.
So this week we're gonna take things to a bit of a different place. So we've done a lot about philosophy, and I think I might have said last week that we're going to move on to a little bit of sociology. Do you know much about sociology in general?
No.
Okay, so sociology is a term within social science, and it's the study of society and people. So there's a lot of overlap between sociology and psychology, so you maybe like you can get different elements of it.
Yeah.
It's very similar to, it derives a lot from like philosophy and stuff as well. And there's different levels of it. You've got macro level sociology, which focuses on wider social systems and structures as large scale groups, and then you've got micro, which follows and focuses on small scale human relations, typically at a community level, but also include interactions between couples, friends, blah 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 blah, and it influences quite a lot more of our lives than we actually think it does. I think that I personally think everyone should learn a little bit of sociology, and it would maybe widen people's understanding of the world.
Okay.
So the first kind of theory around sociology that I want to talk about is now I'm such a loser when it comes to all this. So I'd studied social science. And I am a social science girly, like to my core. And I don't know if that's come across before, but I am. So we're going to talk about functionalism. And I don't know how you say his name, if it's Emil or Emily or... But we're going to talk about Durkheim. Emil Durkheim, Emily... I don't know how to say his name. I'm just going to say Durkheim, right? Slag me off if you want. So he was one of the kind of founding thinkers in functionalism.
Right.
And functionalism is this idea that... I'll just read it from the book. This theory asserts that all aspects of society serve a function, just as a human body is composed of interrelated and interdependent parts. So I've got better at reading, by the way. I've had some comments about my reading. I'm getting better, okay? It's just been a while. I used to have anxiety about reading out loud. Sorry. That was targeted. You know who you are. Durkheim viewed society as a system with each part, norms, customs, traditions, and institutions playing a necessary role. For instance, religion and the economy are organs, while individuals are the cells within these organisms. The parts work together to maintain a social order, consensus, and stability. Society is not a mere sum of individuals, rather the system formed by their association represents a specific reality which has its own characteristic. Now, there was a lot of flaws in functionalism, because it kind of suggested that there's no reason for change or anything like that. It just kind of happens, and there's arguments against functionalism. I really like the stuff about functionalism and crime. So when we're learning about criminology and we're learning about Durkheim, he's done a lot of work on crime and the function of crime in society, and suggested that without crime, society would be stagnant and nothing would really happen. And crime is essential. Like, all of these functional things and all these horrible things are essential to function. And that actually without these things, nothing would ever grow, nothing would ever change, nothing would ever put pressure on anything. People wouldn't see things. It would just like we would just be stuck in the same kind of systems all the time, which I think is a very interesting perspective on society. Like, all I want to know is all I want to do is figure things out. So I think that it's really interesting to look at it from a perspective of everything has a necessary role, whether that's good or evil.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know what maybe your thoughts were on, have you ever thought about sociology or like the study of society? Have you ever heard of functionalism, all of this jazz?
I've never heard of functionalism. I don't really know what I've done that might be considered sociology.
Do you know Karl Marx?
Yeah.
He's a sociologist.
Is he?
Yeah, big Marxy.
Is he actually? I thought he was just...
He's a big boy in sociology.
Oh. Well, yes, I did. So I studied him from a politics perspective rather than a sociology, but maybe overlapped and I didn't realise. But no, I had never heard of functionalism. I've heard argument that like each thing has its own role in society. So maybe I have without actually realising it. So when I was in school, instead I didn't do sociology, but I did politics. And we covered a lot on like how every aspect of society impacts each other, like lack of like resources or lack of access to education impacts crime and crime impacts like family life and blah 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 blah, and it all impacts each other. I didn't necessarily realize that was functionalism that we were talking about.
I think that functionalism is a very basic.
Yeah.
Not that it's basic. It's definitely not. There's it's so convoluted and there's so much in it, and it's so interesting if you want to like read more about it. I was actually going to look up one of my old essays because I'd done like essays on functionalism and stuff because I was really interested in it in uni, because I think that actually if we eradicated everything negative, if we eradicated crime, something would replace it, in my opinion. Like there's no way that if we eradicated religion, something would come in place of religion. Like I just don't think that we can exist as a society without all of these pockets of things. Like I just don't see where it's possible that we could all just like, you need the wrong to balance out the right and the right to balance out the wrong, and you need people to do something bad to then create that moral compass. And I think that a lot of people's moral compass and like reason for right and wrong comes from the society that you grow up in. And it's like, have you grown up in a society where, so like for example, in places like Poland and other kind of Eastern European countries, please and thank you isn't a common part of their vocabulary. They just don't need, and it's not because they're rude, but we think that as a British society, we think that's rude. What do you mean you're not saying please, thank you? You're not saying thanks when I hold the door, or like that's really rude of you. And it's not. It's just that's not a social norm that's been constructed in their lives. And I think all of that and the wider, instead of just looking at the individual and looking at the wider part of the world, I just think it's so interesting how like little parts can play such a big role in one person's life. And I like to think that, I personally quite like a functionalist point of view. Like I like functionalism, but I can see the flaws and things like that.
So what are the flaws? I've maybe not picked up on you explain it.
Thank you for asking.
Is it that it like, if we say that crime is necessary to society, it's like a part of society, is it that it's a flaw? That how do you improve if that is necessary?
So a lot of it says things like, it is deterministic, individuals are seen to lack free will, initiative and creativity, we're merely puppets on strings, it ignores the consequences of social disorder on the individual. So I think that functionalism looks at it at a very big macro level and doesn't look enough at the micro levels. And I think that it then kind of comes into like, it doesn't explain social change. Like it doesn't explain why things change, because it just believes that everything exists for a reason and it has a purpose being here. But there's not enough kind of, if you start to look into things like Max Weber or however you pronounce it.
I know him. I don't know why.
Great.
I must have covered some of as we're explaining this. Sounds like stuff that I covered in politics, but I just never.
Social sciences covers anthropology, politics, history, sociology, psychology. Probably philosophy. Did I say anthropology? And kind of that general modern studies. I think geography comes into that. All of those kind of things, those studies of people, societies, environments, and so you probably have heard of them because they are all very intertwined. And I think that I'm just a nerd about it all.
I did enjoy it. Like, I haven't thought about a lot of this for years because I really enjoyed modern studies and politics. I never had. There was people in my year that did sociology, but I think it like.
I recommend looking into Durkheim. He's very interesting, and his stuff on crime's very interesting. Obviously, I've not went into much detail about it today. I think I just wanted to touch on a little bit about sociology and functionalism as
it is interesting to think of, like, you can't have one without the other. Like, you can't you need the heart, like and
everything else needs it's this thing of this all functions and you're just within it, but so it doesn't really look at the individual's role within that. It's like, you're that because of this, that the functions around you, and it looks a lot more at the external rather than the internal. But I think as a basis, if you were just getting into sociology and you were just thinking about it for the first time, I think it is one of those things that like could change your perspective. That you could be like, oh, there's like a bigger picture here, and there's more to it than just. I think it's a very good like taster. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Will we just skip on ahead to Would You Rathers?
Why not? So I've got a Would You Rather. So it's similar to one I think we've discussed before, but not quite as like a massive. So would you rather be able to see 5 minutes into the future or change a decision from 5 minutes ago?
We've done the one very similar to this.
We did one that was like, would you be able to know like the beginning of the world or the end of the world, I think is the one I'm thinking of that we did.
So 5 minutes in the future, 5 minutes in the past.
So would you rather be able to see 5 minutes in the future or change a decision 5 minutes in the past?
I feel like decision's been made, babe. I want to see 5 minutes. I think I don't know if often choose the future, but
see,
choosing the 5 minute future could change the decision regardless. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like if I were to see 5 minutes into the future, I might go a bit that's so Raven, and I might misinterpret the future and then eyeballs everything up trying to change that outcome.
That's true.
But I have quite often made split decisions and then thought, not that I've quite often made split decisions and went, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I am a big believer in that you have to learn your lessons though. So
I think I would choose 5 minutes in the future. Do you get to choose when you have this?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say, say for example, I'm carrying 3 cups at one time full of juice, and I go, right, let's see how this is going to pan out, and then I'm looking and I go, I'm not going to do that. Like that's that's my thought process of using it. Because I'm like, what, I'm just going to go back and change the fact that I dropped all 3 cups. I'd rather know that I'm going to do it and like
I think we know
myself.
You're going to drop all 3 cups regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, so am I, but I think that's a really hard one because I think that you should learn from your mistakes. If you think that you shouldn't have made that decision, that's because when you're presented that sort of choice again, you won't make the same choice or you'll make a better decision. But I know for myself that I would be too, like, instead of just being like accepting my fate of that is my future, I would try and interfere, and then I would probably make it worse.
Fair. I'm going to choose future.
Yeah.
What are you going to choose?
I think I might choose the 5 minutes in the past because I suppose I don't always need to act on changing the decision.
That's true.
I can just get the option to.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that brings us to an end of this episode 17. Sorry, it's slightly different to our usual structure. We basically just wanted to come on and tell you that we climbed a hill and brag and cry about it.
Yeah.
We hope you've liked this episode. If you did, could you please like, subscribe, comment, send us, I don't know, send us your thoughts on anything that you've got. I'll be honest, guys, my head's sore and I'm not quite sure what's happening anymore. But thank you, love you, bye, and we'll see you next time. Bye.